Welcome to eBuyer, and in this video we're going to be covering this Alphasync CANINE 6900XT based gaming PC. The first game I think we should try out is CYBERPUNK. I've set it to 1440p and then basically high settings across the board. Let's dive in and continue the story mode and see what we get. Okay, so straight off the bat the game looks pretty fantastic. Look at that, the neon looks pretty good. The mission is kind of midway through, which means someone's already sunk a few hours into this campaign, let's be honest. All in all, I'm thinking CYBERPUNK looks pretty good so far. The neon lights look pretty cool. That's a bit of a staple of CYBERPUNK. It's a notoriously... Whoa! It's a notoriously difficult game to run, but the 6900 XT inside this system, this CANINE system, is having no issues at all. I do think we need a car though. I'll have you. Jumping into a car and the frame rate seems to be holding up quite nicely so far. The lights and the neon all still look pretty cool in my opinion, and the frame rate is still pretty solid. So, all in all, difficult game to run, but easily one of the most popular titles of 2021. The next title I want to test out is Grand Theft Auto 5. It's an old favourite and still really popular. We're running at 4K, and we've also got pretty much high settings across the board. Our render distance and densities are halfway, and we're going to launch into the game's inbuilt benchmarking mode. This is really good because it's going to give us a nice, repeatable, reliable frame rate score, which is quite important when you're testing out a system. So off the bat, we're currently sitting about 100 frames per second, which is not bad going at all. We're kind of by the GTA 5 Hollywood sign equivalent, 108 frames per second. That's looking pretty good so far. Even in this scene, which is a bit more intense, we're still at 90 or so frames per second, which is really good, especially considering how high we've actually cranked the settings up in GTA 5. So here we're sitting 140 FPS. That's kind of crazy. That 6900 XT and Ryzen 9 combo performing really well here. And both as well, looking at our temperatures at the top, sitting at 55 and 65 degrees or so respectively, which is really good and shows our AIO and the graphics card cooler is working exactly as it should. Here we're in the sky, we've got quite a big scene, a lot rendered here, and we're still sitting over 100 frames per second, despite the fact that so much is changing so quickly. This is my favourite bit of the GTA 5 benchmark as well. Who doesn't want to be a fighter pilot in Grand Theft Auto? 120 frames per second, so all in all GTA 5 performs really nicely, as you'd expect, and looks great, especially from a gamer's perspective. Next up then is Call of Duty's Warzone. You can see here we're running at the full 4K resolution. We've got basically high settings across the board with most of our toggles enabled, but for the most part I've left it on auto. Let's jump into a game of Battle Royale and see what kind of frame rates we can end up with here in the top corner. So straight out the doors, we're running at well over 150 frames per second. I don't know where that's coming from. Just waiting for our game to spawn in, but overall the game looks pretty good already. As I say, well over that 100 frames per second mark, which is an esports level frame rate, and we're not complaining. I'm going to jump in this heli and fly over the Warzone world and see if we can hold that frame rate up. We can keep it well above that 100 frames per second mark. The game's looking nice and contrasty actually, and really sharp on this Neutron Labs monitor as well, which is always a good thing. And so far that frame rate as well seems to be holding up, which is exactly what we are after. Jumping around the world, it's no surprise that the 6900 XT copes with Warzone with absolute ease. And of course, our Ryzen 9 5950X with all of those cores doesn't hurt either. All in all, this Alphasync CANINE system equipped with an RX 6900 XT is ready to take on the world with a CPU that's great not only for gaming but also productivity applications like video editing and streaming. Thank you for watching, and we hope we'll see you soon.